Thunder cuts through the night, and the storm shows no mercy to the soul of someone with a wounded heart. In a cabin forgotten by time, Eleanor Hayes watches the rain punishing the dry Texas earth. Wind batters against the windows as if trying to tear away her last thread of hope. But for her, there is a void greater than any storm outside, an absence that screams loud, even when everything seems silent. Loss, abandonment, pain. All these words take shape in that room, where only the echo of memories can keep her company. What would you do if you were alone in the world, carrying a longing capable of stealing your sleep night after night? Some say time heals all wounds, but Eleanor knows that certain wounds don't heal. They simply settle into the routine of each day. The husband who was the center of her life is now nothing more than yellowed letters and an empty space at the table. Being a widow means facing not just absence, but also the fear of the unknown, the cold of long nights and doubt about the future. Have you ever felt your world collapse because of a loss? There are people who carry these ghosts and never tell anyone. Eleanor, however, became a master at hiding tears, at pretending strength where only fragility remains. She has thought about giving up, but it's in the darkest moments that the true desire to survive awakens unexpectedly. The sound that interrupts the silence of the house is not just the storm. A mysterious visitor approaches along the muddy road, a man marked by harsh experiences who carries with him the weight of stories he's never told. His hat, worn by time, covers a deep, weary gaze. Eleanor finds herself at the limit between the instinct to protect and the fear of reliving old pain. How many times have you felt that you needed to protect yourself, even without knowing exactly from what? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover can surprise you. The arrival of this stranger will bring to the surface memories, secrets, and moral conflicts that every person has faced at some point, even if only in their heart. What no one imagines is that on that night, two crossed destinies will be forced to confront not just the traumas of the past, but the deepest dilemmas of justice and honor. Eleanor never had a choice, but for Jack Harlan, the cowboy scarred by time, perhaps this is his last chance at redemption. Fear, hope, pain, and courage will share the same space under one roof, and each word spoken will be like a battle fought against invisible ghosts. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to face difficult feelings? What would you do if face to face stood the one who represents everything you lost? Notice how tension builds in this isolated cabin. Pay attention to the gestures, the looks full of untold stories. Eleanor protects her son Thomas, who watches everything hiding behind the curtains. The environment carries weight, fear, suspicion, a timid hope that perhaps, just perhaps, it's possible to turn the page. There is no conclusion now, only a door left ajar for the unexpected. What could happen when pain transforms into courage? The next step of this dark night promises to reveal forces and secrets that can change the destiny of all three forever. While Eleanor struggles to protect little Thomas in the safe corner of her home, feeling the echoes of the storm and heavy memories, perhaps you too have encountered moments when everything seems to crumble around you, and in that instant that silent doubt emerges. Does anyone else understand what you're feeling? While Jack Harlan crosses the threshold carrying his own ghosts and regrets, the atmosphere vibrates between mistrust and hope. Each unspoken word between them is like an invitation to reflect on our own battles and what we guard deep in our souls. This is why your participation is so essential. If some part of this story touched you, or if you've been through something similar, a loss, a betrayal, that fear of not being able to start over, why not share your experience in the comments? I read each message carefully, and together we create a space where pain becomes learning, and stories like Eleanor and Jack's bring a new perspective on courage and overcoming. Stay with me until the end, because your opinion makes all the difference and could be exactly what someone needs to hear today to find a little more strength. Did you like the narrative so far? Do you enjoy this kind of dramatic content, full of emotion, stories of overcoming, fantasy, and redemption? Then go ahead and give it a like. That shows you believe in the power of these stories and helps them reach more people who need these messages. And if you want to follow every new twist, every unexpected encounter, and all the developments of this plot, subscribe to the channel. That's how you help keep everything alive, strengthen our community, and expand the reach of these transformative narratives. Because when you comment, like, and subscribe, you're telling me and everyone watching that there's a united and engaged audience that values real, sensitive, and emotional stories. Leave your mark here, share what you felt, and together we can make this journey something even more special for everyone. And while Eleanor prepares to face the unknown, and Jack hesitates between asking for forgiveness or moving on, one truth remains: no one is alone when there is someone to share with. The next chapter of this night is about to reveal even more about courage, choices, and the possibility of a new beginning. Stay with me, because what comes now could change everything. The door creaks slowly, the wind carries doubt with it, and Eleanor's eyes travel across every detail of the stranger before the home she protects at all costs. Jack Harlan, wrapped in his own past, is more than just an ordinary visitor. There is something in his contained gestures, in the silence of his face, that reveals heavy baggage, made of choices, decisions, and revelations he carries with every step on the old floorboards. The climate is tense, yes, but there's a subtlety of curiosity, as if hidden threads somehow unite these two lives on a collision course. Time seems suspended. Eleanor feels her heart racing, she's afraid, but her resilient mindset prevents her from yielding to first impressions. She sees beyond the threat, perceives a wounded man, someone seeking more than shelter from the storm's cold. Jack in turn observes each expression of Eleanor, noting the distrust, the caution that transforms simple gestures of hospitality into signs of resistance. He didn't come here by accident. Circumstances brought him, wrong decisions, the weight of trauma, and the impact of relationships he lost along the way, all led him to that exact moment. While Eleanor considers whether to abandon protection, Jack reflects on his trajectory and, without realizing it, finds himself caught in the intense climate of tension and potential transformation. The aura that covers the small house speaks of unlikely meetings and hidden truths that neither Eleanor nor Jack are ready to admit. With each minute, the roles shift. Eleanor, outwardly strong and distant, internally lives with layers of insecurity, doubts, and memories of sleepless nights. Jack, apparently hardened by the past, reveals in his tired eyes an almost forgotten vulnerability. It's as if both understood that this is more than just physical shelter, but the setting for an unexpected connection. The sensation is that distinct worlds have met, not by choice, but for some greater reason, perhaps to reveal that real transformations only happen when courage and fear walk together. The silence between them is full of undeclared statements, where each look seeks answers to questions that haven't even been asked yet. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because when we encounter stories like this, we need to analyze not just what happens on the surface, but the invisible movements, the way perceptions change, how emotional barriers yield to a shared journey. Eleanor, by offering shelter, begins a series of internal discoveries. She realizes that protecting her family isn't just about preventing external danger, but understanding her own capacity to welcome others who also need help. Jack, by accepting hospitality, faces the challenge of confronting his motivations, his scars, and learns that true transformation is only born from honesty and acceptance of what really affects us. The meeting of the two is, above all, an opportunity for impact, for Eleanor to strengthen her own mindset and reconsider the meaning of protection, for Jack to confront hidden truths and rediscover aspects of himself he never had the courage to face. It's in the detail, in the hesitant dialogue, in the careful gestures, in the broken distances, that one perceives how this story goes beyond appearances and touches. Universal points. There is no defined right or wrong there, just two people seeking meaning, each struggling with their own dilemmas, showing that every journey is made of encounters, conflicts, decisions, and revelations. Thomas is there, almost imperceptible, his large eyes hidden behind faded curtains, curiosity and fear mixed in the same look. He watches every movement of Eleanor, vigilant, attentive to the unexpected visitor who seems to bring not only the weight of his own secrets, but also the promise of a night full of revelations and impact. In this dense atmosphere, the fragility of the boy ignites intense feelings. Eleanor feels the deep instinct of protection overflow, the urgency to guarantee shelter, safety, and peace for her child, even facing a reality permeated by doubts and trauma. Every mother understands this visceral desire to safeguard what she loves most, to be a wall against any storm, What's curious is how this scenario reveals even more complex backstories, because it's not just about protecting Thomas from external threats, but also caring for internal scars, the transformation that each experience provokes in a child's life. Eleanor recognizes in her son traces of her lost husband, feels both strength and vulnerability pulsing in his delicate presence. Family bonds, however fragile they may seem, are the center of the journey, reinforcing the search for meaning when everything around seems to collapse. Have you ever noticed how, in some moments, the decisions we make don't just affect us but deeply mark those around us? Thomas reflects this, an extension of the conflicts, fears, and hopes that permeate the entire plot. While Jack tries to hide his discomfort with Thomas's presence, Eleanor evaluates every gesture of the cowboy, uneasy about the possible consequences any approach might bring to the child. That's when the protective mindset takes shape. She decides to distance herself minimally from danger without losing sight of the need for support, care, and welcome. The simple fact of Thomas being there, witnessing everything, changes the dynamic, making everything more human, intimate, and at the same time charged with tension. Jack perceives in the boy's eyes silent questions about decisions and consequences, about the real reason why this storm brings such different people under the same roof. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because Thomas's presence reveals essential nuances of Eleanor's journey. It shows the strength of someone carrying responsibilities greater than their own pain, the capacity to transform when facing extreme situations. Every choice can be a turning point, every uncertainty an invitation to reconsider priorities. Deep down, I understand that what most connects those who witness all this isn't just the drama, it's the empathy awakened by real bonds, loyalty, and the search for belonging. In every detail, an hidden truth emerges. Behind courage lies genuine fear of failing those who matter, and no one is indifferent to the impact of this mission. And in this shared silence between mother and son, between fear and hope, it becomes clear that what's at stake is not just the present, but also the future, both Thomas's and Eleanor and Jack's. Each gesture says much about transformation, about how we're shaped by what demanded the most of us. The persistent rain beating on the roof seems to echo inside Jack as well. As the night advances, he becomes consumed by memories so vivid, they almost take shape in the charged atmosphere of that house. Thunderclaps don't frighten him as much as the voice of conscience, which whispers fragments of stories marked by bitter decisions, irreparable mistakes, and that kind of secret that shapes anyone's mindset, even the toughest. Jack's eyes, normally attentive and suspicious, occasionally lose focus, trapped in past scenes, dealing with a weight his words never dared reveal. It's no wonder each expression of his conveys a hidden truth, a silent plea for redemption, an almost childlike desire to free himself from his own past. Eleanor perceives these intervals of silence in the stranger, but her mind is also far away. The ghosts that haunt her life are like companions who refuse to leave. She remembers her husband, the smell of tobacco mixed with leather, the firm hands, the promises that will never be kept. Absence screams louder when danger approaches, and each mental image reignites wounds she thought had already healed. Like Jack, she knows that trying to escape the past is impossible. The impact of decisions that once seemed right remains as a living scar, shaping the present journey and the way she sees the future. The past isn't just memory. It's an active character in these nights when everything seems to lose meaning. The backstory of Jack's life reveals a man who once had dreams and lost almost everything to pride, to bad impulses, to painful revelations about his own nature. He relives scenes from when he still trusted, still wanted to turn challenges into victory. But with each memory, he feels the weight of what he can no longer change. It's as if a hidden truth ran through him. Everyone carries invisible battles, and many of them never end. Eleanor, though hardened, feels empathy for others' suffering, and this makes her doubt old judgments, reconsider the impact of her own attitudes. She recalls sleepless nights, silent prayers, and fears she never even confessed to herself. Perhaps every person who enters our lives brings a hidden chance to revisit old stories, to make peace with what had been only pain. The silence between Eleanor and Jack inside the house is heavy, but it also carries the promise of new beginnings, of possible transformation. It just takes courage to push through the fog of what came before. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because recognizing the marks we carry and accepting what cannot be changed is the first step to breaking invisible chains and allowing new meaning to be reborn from suffering. These nuances of our experience between losing and finding parts of ourselves show how no trajectory is linear. Each turn, each fall, each revelation shapes who we are before others and before ourselves. The climate inside that house changes suddenly, as if the very air becomes denser, charged with everything that was never said out loud. Eleanor sees Jack's face, and something in her awakens, an old memory, a chill that runs through her entire body. Her eyes fill with bewilderment, mixed with anger, and silence transforms into a battlefield. Jack, in turn, perceives Eleanor's shudder, her fixed gaze, as if he's finally found the missing piece to close a painful puzzle. There's no room for doubt. This stranger isn't just a man marked by the road. He's the living link to the tragedy that destroyed everything she knew of happiness. Eleanor's mind spins with questions, decisions, and impulses. A sudden desire for justice, or perhaps revenge, threatens to take over, making her heart beat hard, accelerating her breathing. How many times, faced with a hidden truth that tears us apart inside, have we felt that dull rage mixed with fear, that urge to react and at the same time to flee? That's when the mind begins to search for justifications, mentally replays the backstory of events, where it all began, what really happened that fateful night, what decisions could have changed the outcome. Jack perceives the impact of the revelation, catches a glimpse of the old dilemma between courage and survival, guilt and redemption. Deep down, the scenario reflects a universal conflict. Between Eleanor and Jack, there's more than just a story of loss, but of choices that bring unpredictable consequences. Eleanor's rage is legitimate. She struggles seeking meaning, explanation, a place to deposit all the accumulated pain. But it's in this silent duel, where one look can say more than 1,000 words, that the first spark of understanding emerges. Jack, ashamed, hesitates before speaking. He knows that any word can inflame the confrontation even more. Inside, he battles his own mind, revisiting his fragmented past, trying to separate what he regrets from what he was forced to do. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because sometimes when such a cutting truth is laid bare, what we do with that information has the power to transform us forever. Eleanor asks herself, is it more worthwhile to continue feeding the hatred, or to make space for real transformation, even if painful? Jack faces the need to take responsibility without further fleeing his own destiny. In each gesture, the weight of unfinished decisions is evident, the impact of unresolved trauma and revelations that only surface when masks fall. The environment, already charged, becomes a stage for a delicate dance between doubt, compassion, and the thirst for justice, where every emotion is heightened by the shared past. The silence installed in the room is no longer one of confrontation, but of transformation. Gradually, Eleanor perceives that behind Jack's face there is much more than the figure of the man who once was the pivot of tragedy in her life. His eyes now overflow with a past as painful as hers. There is no arrogance, only the truth of someone carrying ancient regrets and shattered dreams. And as difficult as it is to admit, something in this vulnerability awakens another doubt in Eleanor. Can she see beyond the enemy, beyond the instinct for revenge, and recognize there a human being as marked by suffering as herself? Jack, for his part, feels his internal defenses yield before Eleanor's firm and hurt gaze. He doesn't try to defend his choices, nor does he justify the winding paths he traveled. Instead, for the first time, he admits with humility, he was wrong, he lost himself, he caused pain, and there's no way to erase the impact of certain decisions. But he says, almost in a whisper, that he also knows the feeling of waking every morning with the weight of an absence, dragging along the guilt for what cannot be fixed. Perhaps this is the turning point of the encounter: bared honesty, the courage to face revelations that pride had always postponed. Eleanor finds herself seized by an uncomfortable mixture of rage and compassion. Moral conflict grows inside her. Help this wounded man or expel him far away, defending only herself and her son from that rekindled pain. Images from the past circle in her mind, but this time something subtle is different. She finds herself facing a real dilemma where there's no right answer. The survival mindset, which for so long guided her, begins to be challenged by new questions about justice, forgiveness, and redemption. As night advances and she considers what to do, Eleanor perceives that in a way, Jack is asking for help, perhaps not with words, but with the gaze of someone who has already lost everything and only desires a chance at reconstruction, however timid, however unlikely. It's before this raw moment, stripped of certainties, that barriers begin to yield. It's not just about adventure or drama, but about a human journey, made of doubts, courage, and the freshness of a hidden truth finally put on the table. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject, because many times we believe that there's only room for hate where there has been pain, and we forget that our own transformation can be born from the unexpected, whether from a cry for help, a confession, a sincere gesture. In the backstory of this relationship between her and Jack pulses what is most complex in human experience, giving a new chance to what seemed lost, recognizing weaknesses, putting loyalty to the test. These decisions shape destinies, rewrite trajectories, and show that, beyond labels, everyone is searching for a new possible journey. Facing the whirlwind of emotions that invade that room, the conversation between Eleanor and Jack stops being just a venting to become a profound exchange of values. Eleanor, still shaken, begins to question not just Jack's past, but the entire concept of honor and justice in which she always believed. Words float in the heavy air, and each one carries the weight of a revelation. What does it really mean to do the right thing, she thinks, facing the cowboy who, until recently, only meant threat. The climate is tense, but also genuine curiosity about the backstory of that man, so marked by dilemmas as she herself. Jack, in turn, feels the crushing responsibility of his past decisions. He reveals, with a hoarse and broken voice, the motivations that guided him. Protect the innocent, even when that meant facing greater dangers and taking actions for which he never imagined being ready. The impact of these choices is evident, the guilt almost palpable. His mindset was once hard as stone, but now it's shaped by regret and the desire for redemption. Eleanor perceives that there are no simple villains in these journeys, that the line between justice and survival is thin and constantly crossed by ordinary people forced to decide in situations of extreme risk. The dilemma sets in. Was it courage or selfishness? Justice or self-preservation? Eleanor, reviewing her own concepts, perceives that morality is often traced from the need to protect those we love, even if the price is extremely high. She sees herself reflected in Jack's eyes, also determined to do everything possible for her child, for herself, for the memory of who she lost. This crossing of mindsets, sometimes so opposite, sometimes so alike, reveals hidden truths, details that previously went unnoticed, nuances that transform the understanding of the story. The scenario transforms into a stage of revelations, where each spoken phrase is like an internal turning point, subtly changing the course of both journeys. Hard truths come to light, and the confrontation stops being only external to become an intimate battle for the reconstruction of one's own essence. Eleanor perceives that by confronting Jack, she also faces her own limits, her own shadows, and that every choice she made to survive pain was a way of seeking justice, even if not the idealized kind. Jack, on the other hand, understands that genuine protection must come accompanied by the humility of recognizing mistakes. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because we've all been in moments when the line between right and wrong was blurred by the urgency of the situation. These decisions, often made in the backstage of emotion, end up constructing not just our destiny, but our identity. Eleanor and Jack's journey proves that honor and redemption only exist alongside the capacity to listen, to yield, to reinvent ideals. The impact of this encounter has already changed forever the way each one sees their past and their purpose. What seemed like a story already traced falls apart before an unexpected revelation. Eleanor, for years immersed in the pain of loss, always believed in her husband's innocence and cultivated in her chest a bitter certainty about who was truly guilty. But in an intense conversation marked by sincere looks, Jack finally reveals details kept until then in the backstory of his past, secrets that would change forever, the perception of everything that happened that fateful night. With few words, he shares the hidden truth about Eleanor's husband's involvement in shady dealings, dangerous alliances, and decisions that put lives at risk, including innocent ones. Surprise seizes Eleanor completely, as if erasing in an instant all the explanations she had built to justify the tragedy. He, whom she idealized as a victim, takes on complex contours, bringing a mixture of indignation, sadness, and above all, doubt. The need arises to reassess her own trajectory. To face that pain may have much deeper roots than apparent facts. Jack, marked by experiences of survival, reveals that his decision that night was driven not just by impulse, but by the desire to protect those who had nothing to do with the conflicts of adults. Suddenly, everything that was in the shadows begins to gain light, and each character inside this house perceives the power of a revealed truth, one capable of transforming rancor into empathy and hurt into a search for understanding. Eleanor's mind embarks on an accelerated journey. She revisits memories, details that once seemed irrelevant, and now become clues of hidden decisions, backstories of a story that was always fragmented by lack of answers. Her emotions tumble with rage, shame, and extreme vulnerability, and it's in this moment of transformation that the possibility arises to redefine her own suffering. The impact of that revelation doesn't just serve to change the understanding of pain, but mainly to reinvent the questions she has always asked about herself and the world around her. Her husband's past, now exposed, challenges Eleanor to look beyond the role of victim and understand how her own decisions can open unprecedented paths to the future. Jack, with the courage to open up, exposes himself to judgment, but also to the complex possibility of forgiveness. Their journeys intersect at a point where what matters is no longer accusing or protecting, but understanding, at essence, the reasons that lead ordinary people to commit extraordinary mistakes. The climate between them softens, cradled by a silent respect before human complexity. The revelation brings to light the impact that unknown truths have on our mindsets, showing that no one is only light or only shadow. Each one carries reasons, justifications, and above all, the desire to find meaning in a reality sometimes inexplicable. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because living through this internal transformation, accepting that first impression never tells the whole story, is an invitation to review patterns, beliefs, and even our capacity to forgive, and perhaps start a different journey. In that instant when all truth hangs open in the room, Eleanor feels her heart oscillate between the desire for revenge and the urgency of forgiveness. The intensity of the revelations transforms the atmosphere. The lamps seem more opaque. The storm outside almost ceases, just to make room for the absolute silence that reigns inside the house. Jack is there, without shadows of arrogance, only the sincere desire for redemption stamped on his face and a weariness that seems to cross generations. He doesn't try to convince, doesn't beg. He merely assumes with serene dignity responsibility for the consequences of his own story. Still, the decision isn't his. It rests in Eleanor's hands, marked by all she has lived, all she has lost, and especially all she has learned by crossing each layer of this tortuous path. Eleanor feels tension in every fiber, but also the real possibility of doing something that breaks the cycle of pain. Her mindset, until now built on guilt and self-protection, is challenged by this rare moment where transformation is truly possible. Some memories still burn. Unspoken words float between the two, like ghosts waiting for rest. Thomas, without understanding the full significance of events, feels the shift in energy, and even in silence, is a fundamental presence in his mother's decision. There's no ready script for choices like this. What's at stake is the future itself of that family, the chance to rebuild or perpetuate old suffering. Jack, facing the abyss of his own conscience, demonstrates in each gesture and word the impact that all this represents. He makes himself available to protect, not just as a form of compensation, but as a real step towards something more noble. By exposing his errors and opening breaches of vulnerability, Jack invites Eleanor to an exercise of humanity that demands more courage than any armed duel, allowing forgiveness to be a possible choice even before the greatest pains. The dilemma between revenge and reconciliation imposes itself as a turning point, shaping not only the personal journey of the two, but also the emotional environment around Thomas. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, Because it's in these limit moments, when everything seems to push us toward a definitive decision, that our true essence emerges. The power of a choice is never trivial. It has an impact that reverberates in the way we see the past, and mainly, how we see our own worth. Eleanor knows that her gesture, whatever it may be, will be a turning of the page. Either she'll remain imprisoned by hurt, or she'll allow herself to experience the lightness of new beginnings. The meaning of redemption doesn't lie just in the request of who was wrong, but in the capacity of who was wounded, to build a new meaning for their own story. The atmosphere, once heavy with pain, now begins to gain new contours. Eleanor, seized by a mixture of relief and uncertainty, finally makes her choice. She lets the past rest and opts to follow a path of hope. The weight of so many losses, of guilt and hurt guarded for years, seems to dissolve as she perceives the positive impact that an act of forgiveness can provoke, not just on herself but also on Thomas and even on Jack. It's the silent but profound transformation that happens when courage overcomes fear and the mindset opens to possibilities that once seemed unthinkable. Jack, even without expecting it, feels the responsibility of repaying such generosity with more than words. He puts himself at the service of that family, who for so long was a symbol of the pain that haunted him, and now is a real opportunity for redemption. The environment changes. The looks between Eleanor and Jack are no longer of mistrust, but of construction. Each gesture, each decision, however small, draws a new scenario, reflects the chance of new beginnings. Thomas, intuitive, perceives the calm that takes over the house. That silence now carries with it the promise of better days, of shelter and belonging. The backstory of this reunion shows that it's not about erasing the past, but about giving new meaning to what has been. Eleanor gradually understands that protecting isn't just pushing danger away, but creating an environment where everyone can be vulnerable and still find strength. Jack, for the first time in years, allows himself to believe he can be useful, that he can rebuild bonds and offer that family the best of himself. The meeting of both draws a shared journey, where mutual support becomes a pillar of transformation and impact on each individual's trajectory. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because the truth is that starting over isn't denying everything you've already lived, but embracing each part of your story and using it as a bridge to the future. Eleanor's forgiveness of Jack represents the beginning of a new cycle, a powerful revelation capable of influencing mindsets, redefining decisions, and generating a true cascade effect of protection, love, and belonging. These moments of rebirth, so rare and precious, show how much it's possible to redefine pain, expand our own capacity to give ourselves, and allow new opportunities to arise from what was once only suffering and defeat. Time passes, and little by little, the atmosphere of that house is filled no longer by the memory of tragedy, but by hope. The small moments of coexistence become daily proof that the choice for forgiveness is an active decision, demanding dedication and faith. There's room for the formation of new love, a family rebuilt in the very rubble of ancient hurts. The cycle of revenge gives way to the construction of meaning, showing that every journey that passes through deep transformation has potential to generate lasting impact, not just for those involved, but for everyone around them. Getting to this point is a sign that this story touched something inside you, and that's what makes me bring more and more content full of emotion and truth. If you felt this connection, leave your like to show it's worthwhile to continue this journey together, and take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel to not miss the next stories that will challenge your view on choices, forgiveness, and new beginnings. I want to know from you, if you were in Eleanor's place, after everything she went through, could you forgive, or do you think some decisions have no way back? Answer in the comments, because your perspective matters greatly here and enriches the conversation. And if this reflection caught you by surprise, take a look at the video right here on the side. It complements everything we lived through today. Click and continue with me there to discover just how far choices can take us.